there's Chayvlim in Talmud Bavli, and Talmud Yerushalmi is Noyam. And the Mechablim Zeh, they were fighting with each other in Talmud Bavli, and the Gemara says, Talmud Bavli is B'machshachim Hoshiani Kimisei Olam. He put us in Choshech. And the reason is, Zu Talmud Bavli. And the Gemara says clear, because they fought with each other, Rashi says, they couldn't get to Amita Halacha. Which is very fascinating, because the whole Torah we learn, Halacha L'mayis, is based on Talmud Bavli, not Yerushalmi.
Right.
Why? Because that's what we were holding.
And now?
Things will change, as they are, in case you haven't noticed.
But we're still learning Talmud Bavli.
Right, and then then things will be refined. You'll see the refinement will come. Pnimius HaTorah will be impacted more people, and people will make decisions based on the Pnimius, not on that. And some people will actually do weird things in Halacha. And you know what? Maybe they need to do it. But there are for sure things that change from that Kufa, right? For an example, Zmanim. Right? For a long time in Europe, everybody kept Rabbeinu Tam, which means Shabbos goes very late, and they started Shabbos way after Shkia. And then the Vilna Gaon came along, and the Balatani came along, and they switched it. Who's right? My grandfather's Michal Shabbos?
What does Eilu ve'Eilu Divrei Kimchaim mean?
It depends which context it's used, but there are, the Ritva's shot is, you're going to fall off your chair when you hear this. Ritva and Erevin. He says that the Mem Tes Panim Latov, Mem Tes Panim Latuma, Mem Tes Panim Latara. Moshe Rabbeinu was given on Sinai both studied. It's Tameh and Tahur. And that's Nitan L'chachmei Hadar Shal Kol Dar V'Dar L'Hachriya, which one is right? Ritva.
So
Erevin.
So what does he mean by that, though?
It means they're both emes, they're both directions to get to Hashem. But
How?
now you have to decide what your dar needs. You like that?
That means that every generation...
Torah looks different. Which is totally the Metzias.
One of my friends, who was very, very, very stark and learned about Smoda and became Hasidish and everything, went off the derech all of a sudden. And I asked him what happened. He didn't want to tell me, And finally I found out from someone who's very, very close to him. He didn't want to say much, but he said this whole thing with Eilu ve'Eilu Divrei Kimchaim, that threw him off completely, and he decided that's it.
Well, what about it? What about the concept?
The just not being able to hold that. Like, what do you mean? How can it be that everyone's right? You know, this one's saying this thing, and the total opposite, but they're both right. What does that mean? I guess
that's a chinuch that he was taught in yeshivas. I'm teaching you the emes. The emes. My peon brain, which is so tiny, right, which based on all of my little tiny life experience and the amount of tiny information that I've developed, that's the emes. See how stupid that sounds?
But he's basing on his Rebbe, he's basing on his Rebbe, so it's not just his pea brain.
Fine, so it's all that.
Yeah.
But it's pretty tiny still. Yachas to that. The emes. You know what the Baal Shem Tov says? Torah is Hashem Tmima Yeshivas Nafesh. Torah is Tamima, it's Shalem, was untouched. All of the Torah that was learned so far didn't touch the Torah. The emes. It says in the Gemara in Medrash Tanchuma that in Mashiach time, learning the Mesechtas of Talmud Bavli will only help you in Mashiach's time to know what Mesechta they're talking about. But the Torah they're learning there, you won't understand from this Torah. I have the emes. I know. I have a Rebbe. I have the emes.
But it is coming from a place of fear. And the fear is justified, in a sense. And I'll give you a true example that happened, where when I saw this happening, I realized this is why they're doing what they're doing in the yeshiva system. My cousin was making a kiddush for his daughter, actually daughters, twins, and there was a guy who used to be, I guess, on the derech, whatever, from Chabad guy, and now he's not on the derech anymore, whatever, and he came with his dog. The kiddush was in a Beis Knesset with an Aron HaKodesh, a shul, and he brought his dog into the shul. and people were looking at. People were scared to say something, whatever. And one guy had the guts. Actually, a big black guy who was a ger, who said, "Tuma!" He started screaming at this guy. "Tuma, get it out of here! How can you bring your dog into a Makam Kodesh? How could you do disgusting? It's a busha."
So he screwed up.
And so what did he say back to him? What did this guy say back? He said, "You make God so small."
Mm-hmm.
That's what he said. "You make God so small."
He's right.
He's so wrong.
No.
I was so...
The way he said it was wrong.
What do you mean? What
He said the reason the problem is he's tameh. That's stupid.
Whatever the reason, but
No.
you can't bring
If
a
you
dog...
take the reason wrong, people won't get it.
What do you mean?
You say to the person, this is a place where animals don't belong.
Whatever. It wouldn't have helped. This guy...
And it's disrespectful to the place to think
Yeah.
that animals belong here.
And he
And
says,
if you don't
it's
agree
fine.
with us, this is our opinion, and please respect our shitot.
But in his opinion, he would say to you
Yeah,
that a dog is also a part of God's bria,
yeah.
and God loves dogs too.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with bringing the dog into this place.
Does he have a house full of chickens?
I don't think so.
Right, why not?
Doesn't
Because they
like...
stink. They're also God's creations.
Right.
There's places for this and places for that. This place is a place for humans.
But now do you see, though, where his brain is and how it got there?
Yeah, because people said things that were not emes, and he disagreed with them. They said a dog is tameh, and therefore I should have a minimal connection with that dog. Like people say you shouldn't go to the zoo because the animals are tameh. But that's crazy. They're a beautiful creation of Hashem, and you can see godliness in them. And why in the world would you say I shouldn't have a relationship with them? You could say I'm not supposed to eat them. That's emes. When you take things out of proportion, you do kitzoniyut, you're lying, and people will say, call you on it. And they'll end up doing the opposite, kitzoniyut, because you cause kitzoniyut by being kitzoni. That's why what you teach your kids has to be extremely refined. If you over-exaggerate things, they will throw it out, because they know.
I hear.
You agree with that?
For sure.
It's good stuff.
Thank you. So, let's go around. What did you learn today? For you, not what you were saying. What was meaningful in your life?
Well, I took there was one thing I took, like, in a way where I'll grow with it is everything I take to grow with, but meaning where you said like lots of rabbis are for thinking, and like having one rabbi is more like not in the thinking section.
Masorah.
It's like Masorah, exactly. So, meaning it's good to have a lot of rabbis, but when you're getting Masorah, it's not good to ask like two different rabbis because they can say two other stuff and then it can confuse you. So that is one thing like I saw, because you were saying something got to do with, my dad was saying something got to do if you need a rabbi, you were saying something got to do with not needing a rabbi really. I'm not gonna take words out your mouth, but that type of concept.
Well, you need to be learned from a lot of people.
Right.
So I have my Rebbe. It's kind of a weird thing to
I think
say.
it's a difference between a Rebbe and a rabbi, or a Rebbe and a Rav, right?
It's kind of a weird thing to say I have my Rebbe unless you've like looked around and made a decision. This is the person who I relate to the most. But okay, so what? Maybe you're not that type of person. I don't relate to him specifically. I rate the one thing he has. I don't relate to him. Nothing wrong with that.
No.
You don't have to take it all. Just take.
Why
what
should you?
Right.
What did you learn, Zisha?
It's pretty much not focused most of the time, so I'm not gonna lie, not a great day.
Yeah, you too, brother.
You seemed very involved at the beginning, the first
What
session.
did you learn over there in the beginning?
Oh, that's good.
Well, in the beginning, I don't think like I learned something new, because it's a topic I'm very opinionated about, and to the extent that I cannot open my ears to like saying that specific things are wrong. It's just like in Torah, there's many ways. I believe if someone is that is a certain way, then you can't say that they're doing things wrong. So I'm not sure like what I took out.
Michael?
I think a lot of like I was telling you before, like I was like kind of hit with a lot of like disturbing truths. But I guess on the other hand, like it's also I like what you said about the fact that it's fine. Mistakes are fine. Like it's fine to. The fact that there's a lot of messed up situations doesn't mean that everyone's evil and bad. It's just like, okay, so now let's try to work through it. You know, and I like that. I like that perspective. I do want to believe, with all that like the Am Yisrael, that we are people are good. You know, and it's hard for me to accuse people of being evil. Like, it's my personal way of seeing things.
So I never think they're evil. I think they're ill.
And yeah, it could be illness and.
No,
right.
There's a lot of really good people.
Yeah.
And there's a large percentage of people who are quite sick. And
Yeah.
what the percentage is, once over 0.2%, I'm already it's a large people. Mir Hamatzoi is like after that I'm like okay.
Yes, that's up to him.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no one. I don't think anybody's evil, except when Hashem says Amalek is evil, then I mekabel it. But human beings are not evil. They maybe do some really cool stuff.
You can become evil.
But most of the time, either they were abused into it, right? Or they started off really good, or they chose for benefits to become bad. But human beings,
But they can't become bad. Their neshamas are always good.
Well,
they do bad things.
You can metamorphosize your being, that your neshama has very little impact.
Right. Yeah.
You're right that if you know how to go to the neshama and be ma'ored, you can machzir people b'tshuva.
Even a mafia boss.
I'm telling you, I worked with I worked with a psychopath, and his tshuva is he's still a psychopath, but he's not going to keep his practice of psychopathic, and he turned himself over, and he's been working with the cops, and
that's his only way. You're saying?
Yeah, I mean I don't know how far he can get, but that's where he's holding now. How am I supposed to know how far he can get?
No, I'm saying there's no other option other than handing him over to cops.
Why is that a bad option? It's not even like if I had choices between handing him over to cops and handing him over to cops. He that's where he belongs.
Nobody belongs there. They belong in a treatment.
You're asking if the cops do treatment programs?
They don't. I know they don't.
Okay, that's a different problem.
But I'm saying, so if you're his...
In this situation, he is doing a treatment program.
So then why do cops? Why just not?
Because he's working with them against the bad people.
Oh, that's a different story, right. But then...
But that's a huge tshuva.
Huge, yeah.
Oh, that's what I meant.
For his level.
The reason we put people by the cops is not for them. It's to protect.
Right.
Okay? Now, we would hope that the jail system works with people. There is some of that going on. But it's not very successful and it needs a lot of work.
There's another project for you.
You know who did that a lot? Tursky.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he went into the jails and he had a major impact over there.
Wow.
Shlomo Kavach walked into a jail in America.
Yeah.
Playing his music.
Huh.
And the guy came over to him and says, I had met you, I wouldn't be here.
Wow. That makes me so. It's just that's like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Wow.
Good story, yeah?
Yeah.